The need for external approval is one of the most subtle and powerful forces shaping human behavior. At first, it feels harmless. After all, who does not enjoy hearing words of affirmation or feeling appreciated? But over time, this desire can grow into a quiet dependency, one that seeps into every corner of your life. You begin to measure your worth not by the truth of who you are, but by the reactions you receive. A compliment becomes fuel, criticism becomes poison. Without realizing it, you hand over your emotional stability to the unpredictable moods and opinions of others. It begins in small, almost invisible ways. You hesitate before speaking your mind, wondering if your words will be well received. You adjust your appearance not because it feels right for you, but because you hope it will be noticed. You shape your choices around the expectation of applause. Slowly, the compass of your life shifts from the inner world to the outer, and your true voice becomes muffled beneath layers of adaptation. In time, you may not even realize how much of your identity has been built to please others rather than to honor yourself. The danger lies in the fact that external approval is never guaranteed and never permanent. Even those who adore you today may doubt or criticize you tomorrow. When your self-worth is tethered to the ever-changing winds of opinion, you are left in a constant state of uncertainty. You may feel an addictive pull toward the next moment of validation, hoping it will quiet the restlessness inside, but the relief is always temporary, and the hunger always returns. This cycle can leave you chasing approval endlessly, without ever feeling truly secure. The truth is that no amount of praise can replace the stability that comes from within. When you depend on others to affirm your value, you live in a form of quiet bondage. Your emotions rise and fall according to forces you cannot control, and you lose touch with the deeper, more enduring sense of worth that belongs to you simply because you exist. This inner worth does not need to be proven, defended, or measured. It simply is asterisk. Breaking free from this trap requires honesty with yourself. You must be willing to notice the moments when you are acting for the sake of recognition rather than from genuine alignment with your own values. You must ask difficult questions. If no one noticed, would I still choose this? If no one applauded, would I still feel proud? These questions are not meant to shame you, but to guide you back to the center of your own being. When you begin to choose your actions from this inner center, something shifts. You no longer chase validation, you create from truth. The opinions of others may still reach your ears, but they no longer decide your direction. You reclaim your sense of self, and with it, the quiet power of living authentically, without needing anyone's permission to exist as you truly are. There is a version of you that existed long before the world told you who you should be. This self is untouched by labels, praise, or criticism. It is the raw, unedited core of your being, the place where your instincts, desires, and inner wisdom flow naturally. Yet for many, this self becomes buried beneath the weight of expectations. Slowly, the voice of the outer world grows louder than the voice within. And we forget that our worth was never supposed to be something earned. It was inherent from the very beginning. When you reconnect with this original self, you begin to remember that you were complete before anyone's approval defined you. As children, we acted from curiosity and wonder, not from a need to be validated. We drew pictures, told stories, explored the world, not because someone promised applause, but because it felt alive to do so. Somewhere along the way, the purity of that self-expression was replaced by the question, will they like it? Will they like me? And with that question came the slow erosion of self-trust. Returning to the original self is not about rejecting the world or isolating yourself from others. It is about recognizing that your value does not fluctuate with someone else's perception of you. When your worth is rooted within, the opinions of others become like passing clouds. They may drift across your sky, but they cannot change the light of your sun. This inner anchoring gives you stability that no praise or criticism can shake. The process of return requires stillness and honesty. You must be willing to pause and listen to the quiet places within yourself. Ask, what do I truly want, separate from what others expect? The answer may surprise you, and at times it may even scare you, because living from your original self often means stepping away from the roles you've played to please others. It may mean disappointing people who have grown comfortable with your compliance. But the cost of ignoring your inner truth is far greater than the discomfort of others' disapproval. When you live from this restored center, your actions are no longer a performance for an audience. You are no longer chasing a moving target of acceptance. Instead, you operate from a steady inner knowing. There is a freedom in this that is both quiet and profound, a freedom that allows you to say yes when it feels true and no when it does not, without the tremor of guilt that comes from fearing rejection. In this state, you radiate an authenticity that others can feel. It is not arrogance, it is the calm confidence of someone who has stopped outsourcing their value. People may admire it, some may resist it, but regardless, you remain steady, because you are no longer looking to them to tell you who you are. You have already remembered, you have already returned, and that return is where real power begins. One of the hardest truths to accept is that you will be misunderstood. No matter how carefully you explain yourself, no matter how pure your intentions, there will always be those who twist your words, doubt your motives, or view you through the lens of their own fears and insecurities. This is an unavoidable part of being fully alive and true to yourself. The sooner you accept it, the sooner you will stop bending yourself into shapes just to fit the comfort of others. The need to be understood is deeply human. We long for connection, for someone to see into our hearts and say, I get you. But when that longing becomes a requirement, it chains you to the perceptions of others. You start to soften your edges so you won't seem threatening, water down your truth so it won't be too intense, and silence your inner convictions so they won't be too different. In doing so, you trade the authenticity of your soul for the illusion of harmony. The courage to be misunderstood is the courage to let go of control over how others see you. It is to trust that your truth is worth living, even if no one else fully grasps it. This courage is not born from arrogance. It is born from the understanding that your life is your responsibility alone. Others may walk alongside you, but they cannot define your path without your permission. When you dare to live authentically, you inevitably disrupt the expectations others have placed upon you. Some will admire it, others will resist it, and a few may even feel threatened by it. Their reactions are not a reflection of your worth, but of their own relationship with truth and freedom. If they are still bound by fear, they may try to bind you as well. And yet, the more you stand firm in your own reality, the more you show them, whether they realize it or not, that it is possible to live without apology. There will be moments when the misunderstanding feels heavy, when the temptation to explain yourself or win someone's approval is almost irresistible. In those moments, remember this: understanding is not the same as love, and misunderstanding is not the same as rejection. You can be deeply loved by those who do not fully get you, and you can be completely understood by those who do not care for your well-being. The measure of your life is not found in universal approval, but in your alignment with your own inner compass. When you embrace the inevitability of being misunderstood, you free yourself from the exhausting task of managing perceptions. You begin to speak and act from a place of truth rather than strategy. And with that freedom comes a new kind of strength, the strength to walk your path with open eyes and an unshaken heart, even when others cannot see the road you're on. This is the quiet bravery that transforms a life. There are invisible strings that quietly pull at your emotions and decisions, often without your awareness. These strings are woven from the need for approval, the fear of rejection, and the desire to belong. They are subtle, yet they dictate so much of how you move through life. When someone praises you, the strings lift you upward, filling you with temporary confidence. When someone criticizes or ignores you, they pull you downward, leaving you questioning yourself. It feels as though your sense of worth is being controlled by forces outside of you, because in many ways it is. Freedom from these invisible strings does not come from cutting yourself off from people or pretending you do not care. It comes from recognizing the control these forces have over you and choosing to reclaim your own center. As long as your emotions are tied to the shifting opinions of others, you will live reactively, celebrating when they pull you up, despairing when they pull you down. But when you untangle yourself, you discover a steadiness that no one can give or take away. This detachment is not coldness, it is strength. It is the ability to hear feedback without losing your sense of direction, to receive praise without becoming dependent on it, and to endure criticism without crumbling under it. You begin to see approval for what it truly is: pleasant, but not essential. You understand that other people's perceptions are shaped as much by their own experiences and insecurities as by anything you have said or done. Releasing the need for validation is not an overnight act, it is a gradual untying. You start by noticing when you are adjusting yourself to fit into someone else's expectations. You observe when your mood changes because of a look, a comment, or even the lack of acknowledgement. Each time you notice, you create a moment of choice, a chance to ask, am I acting from my truth or am I being pulled by the strings? Over time, you will find that you do not need to perform for anyone's approval. You can walk into a room without scanning for signs of acceptance. You can share your ideas without rehearsing them to please your audience. You can say no without the gnawing guilt that comes from imagining someone's disappointment. You become anchored in yourself, and the strings lose their power because they have nothing to latch onto. When you reach this place, your life begins to feel lighter. You are no longer pulled up and down by every passing opinion. You move from a place of quiet assurance, where your choices are guided not by how they will be received, but by whether they are true to you. This is the essence of freedom, not the absence of connection, but the presence of an unshakable self that no invisible string can control. There is a paradox in human connection that few realize until they live it. The less you chase attention, the more naturally it comes to you. True magnetism does not arise from effortful performance or constant self-promotion. It comes from the quiet confidence of someone who is whole within themselves. People are drawn to those who do not need them, not out of arrogance or detachment, but because such individuals radiate a rare kind of stability. In a world where so many are desperate to be seen, the one who is content in their own skin stands out without even trying. When you are not seeking validation, you are free to be fully present. You listen more deeply because you are not silently rehearsing what you will say to impress. You speak more honestly because you are not editing your truth to win approval. You move through the world with an ease that others can feel, and that ease is magnetic. It invites people in, not because you are trying to pull them toward you, but because they sense a groundedness they long for themselves. There is something irresistible about someone who is not swayed by the changing winds of opinion. Such a person becomes like a mountain, still, rooted, and strong. Others gather around not because the mountain is calling them, but because it offers a sense of direction and safety in a chaotic world. Your quiet self-assurance sends a signal, even without words: I am not here to prove myself, I am here to live my truth. That signal is rare, and rarity always draws attention. This kind of magnetism cannot be faked. It is not about pretending you do not care what others think. It is about genuinely finding your sense of worth from within. When you try to act indifferent while still secretly craving approval, people can feel the tension. Authentic magnetism comes from resolving that inner conflict by no longer outsourcing your identity to other people's reactions. The irony is that when you stop striving to be liked, you often become more likable. People feel safe around you because they sense you are not evaluating their every word or gesture. You give them the gift of authenticity, which in turn encourages them to be more authentic with you. This creates a deeper, more genuine form of connection than the shallow bonds formed through performance and flattery. The beauty of this paradox is that it makes life lighter. You no longer exhaust yourself trying to maintain an image or chase approval. Instead, you simply show up as you are, and those who are meant to resonate with you will naturally draw closer. In this way, you become magnetic not by grasping for attention, but by becoming so whole within yourself that attention has nowhere else to go. It comes to you because you are complete, and completeness is the most attractive quality of all. When you no longer depend on others to tell you that you are enough, something powerful happens. You become the one who offers that assurance to the world. Instead of seeking validation, you begin to give it. Your presence shifts from a space of need to a space of abundance. You are no longer approaching people with the silent question, "Will you accept me?" Instead, you carry within you the quiet statement, "I see you, I value you." This transformation turns you from a seeker of approval into a source of it, and that shift changes not only your relationships but the atmosphere around you. When your self-worth is anchored inside, you are free from the subtle competition that validation seeking creates. You do not feel threatened when someone else shines because their light does not diminish yours. You do not withhold encouragement out of fear that it will make you invisible. Instead, you can genuinely celebrate others, knowing that their success is not your loss. People can feel when encouragement is real, and they are drawn to those who uplift without hidden agendas. Becoming a source of validation does not mean offering empty praise or shallow flattery. It means recognizing the dignity and humanity in others and reflecting it back to them without expecting anything in return. It is listening with your full attention, affirming someone's effort even when it goes unnoticed by the rest of the world, or simply standing beside them without judgment in their moments of struggle. These acts may seem small, but they have a profound effect, because true validation is a reminder to another person that they are seen as they are, not as they perform. Ironically, when you give validation freely, your presence becomes even more magnetic. People are drawn to those who make them feel safe to be themselves. They sense that you are not in the relationship for what you can extract from them, but for the authenticity of connection itself. You become someone whose presence refreshes rather than drains, someone whose words carry weight because they are not spoken to manipulate or impress. Living this way creates a ripple effect. When people experience unconditional affirmation from you, they often begin to offer it to others, and the cycle of dependency on external approval slowly weakens in everyone it touches. You help others tap into their own inner worth simply by standing firmly in yours. This is the quiet, transformative power of becoming the source rather than the seeker. You no longer move through life hungry for someone to tell you that you matter. You already know, and because you know, you can feed that same truth into the lives of others. In doing so, you become more than just confident. You become a wellspring of strength, reminding everyone you encounter that their worth, like yours, has been there all along.